Unit 3, the ISLM model. The ISLM model introduction. The ISLM, I stands for investment, S stands for saving, L stands for liquidity preference, and M stands for money supply. Hence ISLM. So the ISLM model is a macroeconomic model. This ISLM model was put forward by Hicks, Hazen and Lerner, which is based on Keynesian framework. This model describes the interaction between the goods market and the money market. The IS curve represents the goods market and the LM curve represents the money market. Let's understand the IS curve, also known as goods market. Let's understand more about goods market. Goods market equilibrium is shown by IS curve. Goods market is in equilibrium when the income or output is equal to aggregate demand. That is, Y is equal to AD. Income is equal to aggregate demand. This is equation 1. Since we already know, students, that aggregate demand is total of consumption expenditure plus investment expenditure. So this becomes our equation 2. From equation 1 and equation 2, we get our equation 3. That is, Y is equal to consumption expenditure plus investment spending. Because AD is common, so we got our equation 3 here, that is consumption expenditure plus investment spending. Also, since we already know that income is either consumed or saved, so we can write this as income is equal to total of consumption plus saving. So we get our equation 4. Now from equation 3 and equation 4, we know that our income is common. So we will place Y, that stands for income, in the middle, and to the left of that we will write equation 4, that is consumption expenditure plus saving, and to the right of income, that is Y, we will write our equation 3, that is consumption expenditure plus investment spending. After this, when we cancel, since C is common, so we will cancel C from both the sides. So we will get saving, that is S, is equal to investment, that is I. So S is equal to I, that is investment is equal to saving. That becomes our equation 5. Therefore, goods market is always in equilibrium when S is equal to I, that is saving is equal to investment. So at this point, since we know that I is equal to S, so always remember, students, that I, that is investment, is always inversely related to the rate of interest, that is denoted by small I. On the other hand, S, that stands for saving, is always directly related to income, that stands for capital Y. Now let's understand the meaning of IS curve. Students, this is a very important statement. So you need to understand this statement. Also, if any question is asked on goods market or IS curve, this statement has to be written. The answer will remain incomplete. So let's understand the meaning of IS curve. IS curve reflects, that is, it shows various combinations of two things: interest rates and level of national income at which goods market is in equilibrium. We are doing goods market, that is why we have written there at which goods market is in equilibrium. So I repeat, IS curve shows different combinations of what? Interest rates and national income at which goods market is in equilibrium. So here, when we draw the diagram, you will understand that on x-axis we denote national income and on y-axis we will plot interest rates. So you will understand once we do the diagram. This is the diagram of goods market or IS curve. So this part shows the derivation of IS curve. So let's understand in detail the derivation of IS curve. Let's understand this diagram. Now as you can see that in this diagram there are three parts, that is panel A, panel B and panel C. You also have to understand that panel B and panel C is a continuous diagram. So you have to draw it up and down. So panel B will be upside while panel C will be downside. So let's start by understanding panel A. Panel A shows inverse relationship. That is, as you can see in panel A, on x-axis we have plot planned investment, while on y-axis we have plotted rate of interest. This curve, II curve, which is downward sloping, this II curve is called as the investment demand curve. So panel A shows an inverse relationship between the rate of interest and the planned investment. For example, now look at the diagram carefully, you will understand that at rate of interest R1, our planned investment is I1. Once the rate of interest falls from R1 to R2, our planned investment increases from I1 to I2. Further, the rate of interest falls further to R3, the planned investment increases further to I3. So this shows what inverse relationship. So as inverse relationship between rate of interest and planned investment. So the fall in the rate of interest from R1 to R2 to R3 results in what increase in the planned investment from I1 to I2 to I3, thus showing inverse relationship. Let's understand this diagram. Now as you can see that in this diagram there are three parts, that is panel A, panel B and panel C. You also have to understand that panel B and panel C is a continuous diagram. So you have to draw it up and down. So panel B will be upside while panel C will be downside. So let's start by understanding panel A. Panel A shows inverse relationship. That is, as you can see in panel A, on x-axis we have plot planned investment, while on y-axis we have plotted rate of interest. This curve, II curve, which is downward sloping, this II curve is called as the investment demand curve. So panel A shows an inverse relationship between the rate of interest and the planned investment. For example, now look at the diagram carefully, you will understand that at rate of interest R1, our planned investment is I1. Once the rate of interest falls from R1 to R2, our planned investment increases from I1 to I2. Further, the rate of interest falls further to R3, the planned investment increases further to I3. So this shows what inverse relationship. So as inverse relationship between rate of interest and planned investment. So the fall in the rate of interest from R1 to R2 to R3 results in what increase in the planned investment from I1 to I2 to I3, thus showing inverse relationship. Further, as you can see in the diagram in panel A, once the rate of interest falls, that we've already done in our last part, that as the rate of interest falls, the level of planned investment increases. This will cause an upward shift in the aggregate demand function. As you can see in the panel B, there are shifts in the aggregate demand function, that is from AD1 to AD2 to AD3. This results in equilibrium in the goods market, but at a higher level of income, correct? You can see here that there are three equilibrium points, E1, E2, E3. So the highest equilibrium point is E3, which takes place at higher level of income, that is Y3, which we can see in panel B. Further students, at the rate of interest R1, our aggregate demand function is AD1. This AD1 aggregate demand function intersects the 45-degree line at point E1. So point E1 is the equilibrium point, and thus the goods market is in equilibrium at point E1. Further, when the rate of interest falls from R1 to R2. So the aggregate demand curve shifts upward from AD1 to AD2. And at AD2, yeah, or the AD2 intersects the 45-degree line at point E2. So point E2 is the new equilibrium point. Thus, the goods market is in equilibrium at point E2. Further, the same process repeats if the rate of interest falls further from R2 to R3. Again, the aggregate demand curve shifts upward, and then we have new equilibrium point E3. Thus, goods market is in equilibrium at point E3. Further, students, these three different points of equilibrium, that is E1, E2 and E3, shows us different combinations of the rate of interest, that is R1, R2 and R3, along with different levels of income, that is Y1, Y2 and Y3. So all this is plotted in panel C. So if you bring this down through these dotted lines, you will get point A, B and C. So if you join all these points together, we will obtain our IS curve. So this is how our downward sloping IS curve is derived. So this completes the derivation of IS curve. The second part under goods market is the slope of the IS curve. We have already done the first part, that is the derivation of the IS curve. The second part is the slope of the IS curve. For this, you have to look at the panel C. As you know, as you can see here, the IS curve here is sloping downwards. So when the curve slopes downwards, it means it is negatively sloped. So here the IS curve is downward sloping, that is it is negatively sloped. Why? This is because, look at panel A, a fall in the rate of interest from R1 to R2 to R3 results in an increase in the level of investment, right, from I1 to I2 to I3. Thus shifting the aggregate demand upward. Look at panel B, that is from AD1 to AD3 to AD3, followed up by the increase in the level of equilibrium from E1, E2 to E3. Thus we say that for the goods market to be in equilibrium, a fall in rate of interest followed, that is accompanied with the rise in the level of income, that is from Y1 to Y2 to Y3 is necessary. Only then we say that goods market will be in equilibrium. So I repeat, for the goods market to be equilibrium, it is important that the fall in the rate of interest has to be accompanied, that is along with a rate of interest, the level of income should also rise. That we can see in the diagram, it is rising from Y1 to Y2 to Y3. Thus this results in goods market equilibrium. The third part under goods market, that is IS curve, is about the shifts in the IS curve. As we have already understood in the last part that the IS curve explains the effect of changes in interest rate on the aggregate demand as well as on the income level. Further, in the diagram, always remember students, whenever there is an increase in autonomous spending means government spending or government expenditure. So whenever there is an increase in autonomous spending, it will shift the IS curve. So the original IS curve is shown in the diagram by IS0. So when there is an increase in the autonomous spending or government spending, this original IS0 curve will shift upwards to the right from IS0 to IS1. On the other hand, if there is a fall or a decrease in autonomous spending, the IS curve will shift to the left, that is downwards, that is from IS0 to IS2. So always remember, an increase in government spending will shift the IS curve upwards to the right, while on the other hand, a fall in autonomous spending will shift the IS curve downwards to the left, that is to IS2. in the diagram. Now let's understand the second part of this topic of ISLM model, that is LM curve. LM curve is also called as money market. Let us understand about the money market, also called as LM curve. The money market equilibrium is always shown by the LM curve. The money market is in equilibrium when the demand for money, that is L, also called as liquidity preference, equals to the supply of money M. So at this point, L will be equal to M. The demand for money depends on two indicators. One is the level of real income, that is denoted by capital Y, and the second indicator is the rate of interest, denoted by small letter r. The meaning of LM curve, this is a very important statement, students, which you will have to necessarily write in every question asked on money market or LM curve. So let's understand this. The meaning of LM curve. The LM curve reflects or shows various combinations of income and rate of interest at which money market is in equilibrium. So the first part under the money market or LM curve is the derivation of the LM curve. So this is the diagram which you will have to draw in exams if the question is asked about derivation of LM curve. Let's understand this diagram. Now let's understand the derivation of LM curve through this diagram. The derivation of LM curve is shown in this graph or the diagram, which links the rate of interest, that is R, with the real income, that is denoted by Y, through L and M curves. Now as you can see in the diagram, there are two panels, panel A and panel B. Now in panel A or the panel A shows the equilibrium in the money market with the supply of money, that is M. Now apart from this, there are three downward sloping demand for money curves, that is L1, L2 and L3. As you can see in the diagram, there are three demand for money curves, L1, L2 and L3. Now with respect to L1, the demand for money curve L1, this is drawn for a given real income, that is Y1. Apart from this, further, the money market is in equilibrium at point E1 because at this point the rate of interest is R1 and the level of income is Y1. Further, this point of equilibrium, that is E1, is now marked in panel B of the diagram. So at point E1, as you can see in the diagram, the money market is in equilibrium having the combination of Y1 income and R1 rate of interest. Thereafter, once the income increases from Y1 to Y2, the demand curve, that is the demand for money curve, will shift towards the right. So the initial demand for money curve was L1, it will shift towards the right, it will shift upwards from L1 to L2. Now, the new equilibrium point E2 in the money market is having the rate of interest R2, which is a new equilibrium rate of interest, along with the new level of income, that is Y2. Now this E2 point is now marked in the panel B. So in this way, the same procedure follows and again we will get a new equilibrium point E3, which is also marked in the panel B. So in panel B, we will get a series of points for different levels of income along with the different levels of rate of interest. All these points will be joined and this is how we will derive our upward sloping LM curve. The second part under money market or LM curve after derivation of LM curve is the slope of the LM curve. As we already know, students, that LM curve is upward sloping, which is also called as positive sloped, because higher the level of income, higher will be the rate of interest which is required so that money market will be in equilibrium. The last part under money market is the shifts in the LM curve. So the LM curve is constructed for a given supply of money. Now look at this diagram, students. As we already know that on the x-axis we plot real income, while on the y-axis we have plot interest rate. So here the initial LM, we have in the middle the initial LM curve. Now if there is an increase in the supply of money, so the LM curve will shift to LM1, that is, it will shift downwards. On the other hand, if the supply of money falls or if there is a decrease in the supply of money, then this initial LM curve will shift upwards, that is to LM2. The third question under the topic of ISLM model is the equilibrium in goods and money markets. So let's understand this in detail. The third part in this topic of ISLM model is the equilibrium in both the markets, that is goods and money markets. So students, as you know, we have completed both the answers on goods market as well as money market. So the third answer is based on the combination of the earlier two answers, that is the equilibrium in both the markets together, that is goods and money market. So let's understand this. The IS curve, we already know, students, that IS curve shows the goods market while the LM curve represents the money market. IS curve shows negative relationship, that is the inverse relationship between rate of interest and national income. Thus, that is the reason IS curve is always downward sloping. On the other hand, the LM curve shows positive relationship, that is direct relationship between rate of interest and national income, and that is the reason LM curve is always upward sloping. Now let's understand the diagram on the right, which is showing the simultaneous equilibrium in both the markets, that is good as well as money market. So in the diagram, the x-axis we plot income as well as output, while on the y-axis we are plotting rate of interest. So the simultaneous determination of equilibrium in both the markets, goods and money market, is shown through this diagram with the ISLM model. Further, as you can see here in this diagram, we are having both IS curves, LM as well as LM curves. So the IS curve is downward sloping and LM curve is upward sloping. So the intersection of both the curves, that is IS and LM curves, takes place at point E. This point E is called as the equilibrium point that shows the rate of interest as well as the income levels. Further, the intersection of both IS as well as LM curves, which takes place at point E, is determined. It also determines the equilibrium rate of interest R as well as the equilibrium level of income, that is Y. At point E, both markets, that is IS goods market and LM money market, are in equilibrium. Now let's understand the last part of this topic, that is importance of understanding the ISLM model. So the ISLM model continues to be used even today, that is 75 years after it was introduced, because it provides a simple and appropriate framework for analyzing the effects of monetary as well as fiscal policy on income and interest rates. Finally, the ultimate goal in developing the ISLM model is to analyze the short-run fluctuations in economic activity.